Well, I've had an antique shop here in Salem since 1986. This is my 31st year. Currently located at 355 Court Street, right across from the Reed Opera House, in the heart of downtown between Commercial and Liberty Street.
I imagine you didn't come in without a lot of knowledge, but 31 years you accumulate a great amount of knowledge, I would imagine, about antiques.
Well, my parents were in the business, so I had a good head start and studied, loved history and studied it. Became a, stamp collecting and swapping baseball cards and comic books when we were kids.
You have quite the variety. I mean, especially the military things, Hollywood oriented. You really have quite a smattering, don't you, of different items?
Well, essentially, it's all history. It's the collective history of creativity. It's entertainment. It's whether it's the military history or the history of the pioneers. Everything has its place, whether it's in the history of art or decorative arts or just everyday utilitarian wares from china to glass. But especially, I like history.
You get a lot of very interesting people, and you must have a lot of incredible connections for this whole, not just the antiques, but Salem itself and Salem history.
Yeah, people ask me what I collect, and I tell them I collect stories, and people are the stories, and they bring the stories to you, and they share their history, they share their love for things, they share the path that brought them to collecting a particular World War II aviation group or a particular regional pottery.
Do you mind telling me again where this came from and how rare it is?
Well, it's from the pottery that was established in 1863 by Solomon Way in Polk County over in Eola.
And you have two pieces of it?
Yeah, there were about 40 known up until these two were found in a pioneer family descendant that had been here in the valley since 1852. I bought these over in Monmouth. The pottery site is one of the few that the archaeologists haven't been able to get to because the Highway 22 construction back in the 1950s covered up the original kiln site. Otherwise, they've been able to track down the sites of a number of early Oregon kilns.
Now, there have been some big changes down here. For those of us that already know your story, I mean, you had other people in here and you had it arranged differently. Can you tell me about the changes?
Well, we had a collective with two dealers that were prominently dealers in glass and collectible Victorian glass. They moved out in November, and I was part of the collective, and I was just not ready to close up. I've got 30 plus years invested downtown, and so I intend to be here to help people identify their objects, evaluate their objects, and hopefully send an object or two home with them and add them to their collection.
You must see some fascinating things every single day.
Yeah, every day people bring things in, and I never charge for an assessment if they walk into the shop. I, of course, have to charge for written appraisals or to go on a house call and appraise for insurance or a loss. But in general, if you can bring it into the shop and I know what I'm looking at, I'll tell you what it is. And if I don't know, then we'll figure it out for you.
Do you think Salem has a particular angle when it comes to history? I mean, I do the ghost tours, and people are always just very taken with the downtown. We have a lot packed into a fairly small regional size in downtown Salem.
Yeah, like any, interest, there's not everybody's going to be interested in history, but there's a significant number of the population it is. We're a very tourist-oriented business, so people that are coming into town to see the Capitol or the Mission Mill, some of the other historic sites around town. Oh, the Gilbert House and Deepwood and Bush House, some of the famous old Victorian homes that have been kept and preserved here in town.
And how is the antique business, doing in the beginning of 2017?
Well, in general, we see a lack of interest in some of the younger generations coming up, but there's other factors like the easy availability of a lot of collectible items on the internet. Therefore, there are a lot of collectors that really don't even need to go looking because they're satisfied every day by the sheer quantity of things on the internet. But we do have a lot of people that love the visceral. They want to see it, they want to touch it, they want to experience it. And then even part of the experience for them is hearing where it came from, whether it's a mundane story or whether it's an interesting story. But there's a personal contact. A lot of people still value that touch of humanity that goes with this. Yeah.